You're watching live coverage of the Mackinac Policy Conference. I'm your host, Zoe Clark. The team at Detroit PBS is thrilled to have announced that we are returning home to the city of Detroit. We purchased a building in the Milwaukee Junction neighborhood in April, and construction will begin very soon. This is a monumental moment for Detroit PBS as we imagine the possibilities of all that will take place on the new Detroit campus. Let's take a look.
For nearly 70 years, Detroit PBS has been serving the 4 million people who call the Detroit area home. And now, we're coming home.
Detroit is made up of a collection of communities. So whether you're from the east side, the west side, southwest, all of those communities contribute to the personality and to the character of the city and the region.
Wayne County is probably the most diverse county in the state of Michigan. An awful lot of people of all ethnicities throughout the county. We kind of talk about it as 43 different and unique communities. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity for public television to touch those different communities.
The Lions moved back home, the Pistons moved back home, and we're very excited to have Detroit Public TV come back to their original home in Detroit and return the center of their operations to a really vibrant section of the city.
Public media is a dynamic force, empowering communities and showcasing the diverse voices that make our region unique. To be successful in this endeavor, we need more than a building. We need a campus.
It's very easy to think, oh, just lease some space. But there's some very unique features that a television station needs to have.
After touring dozens of places, we finally found 234 Piquette.
Over the course of 20 years, what we learned was we don't need two big studios. We need studios where we can capture all kinds of performances, where we can invite the public in and really make it a convening center.
Detroit PBS has found this phenomenal building that we're in right now to renovate and to keep a structure from being razed and to renovate it into a new facility that's going to serve so many people in the community.
You're going to get more One Detroit, more American Black Journal, more Michigan Learning Channel, more Kids PBS, more Great Lakes Now, more WRCJ.
Be it a studio audience, an educational event, a live performance, or a critical town hall, we'll be able to host it all from this one campus.
In the coming years, there are going to be really thorny issues of all types that we're going to have conversations about.
We're uniquely qualified to help light up those issues. And these are deep issues. It has to do with the future of work, energy, water, conservation. What does it mean to be an American in the 21st century?
Detroit PBS is pleased to announce the lead philanthropic gift of its campaign. The Fred A. and Barbara M. Erb Family Foundation has granted a $7.5 million challenge to the organization as a one-to-one philanthropic match.
The Erb family has been involved with Detroit PBS for over 50 years.
I think back to when my father was on the board back in the 70s. He was instrumental when they moved to a prior television station in Detroit, where they were until they moved out to Wixon.
The idea of being on Mackinac at this conference, announcing the support that the Erb family is giving us. It's a great moment, having gotten to know John a little over the years, and the stories of his father being involved in our old buildings and his family being involved in the Ryla Broadcast Center, and then to turn to them and say, help us launch this campaign. It just feels like the planets are aligned here in Mackinac, the most important convening in our state.
On behalf of Leslie and myself, we encourage organizations and members of the community to support Detroit PBS for this historic move back to Detroit.
Imagine the possibilities.
Imagine the possibilities.
Imagine the possibilities.
Imagine the possibilities.
Joining me now to talk about the new Detroit campus and all that it will make possible for Detroit PBS and the city of Detroit are John Erb, chair of the Erb Family Foundation, Melissa Domaski, president of the Erb Family Foundation, and Rich Homburg, CEO of Detroit PBS. Thank you all for joining us today. This is so exciting, and congratulations on the $7.5 million gift. This is a big deal.
It's a very big deal. It's a really important day for this great organization. A point of personal privilege, if you will. We're at Mackinac, where we usually talk at this desk about the future of Detroit, the future of Michigan. Today we're talking about the future of Detroit PBS. And all of the people behind the cameras today, their lives are going to be greatly impacted. So I need a round of applause, folks. Come on. Straight up. This is it's a remarkable day and a remarkable event, and it says so much about the commitment of our staff and what we build and what we're going to do in our new campus. But it also says a lot about these great folks and their commitment and their heart and their legacy and their relentless, detailed work in using philanthropic capacity to fund important efforts in the most important city in America. And so I don't think I've ever had a better day in my career, and I think there's a lot of people on the other side of those cameras to it. But thrilled to be here. Can't say enough about this wonderful group. And thank you, John, Debbie, Fred, Barbara, all the Herbs, and thank you so much, Melissa, for all the work you put into it. So excited and challenged.
Well, so let's talk about the significance of this gift, Rich, because it is significant. How do you plan to meet this one-to-one match challenge? This is going to be over the next 3 years.
Right. I think relentlessly. Now the real work begins, and John and the Herb family has issued a challenge for us and says, we're going to put $7.5 million on the table. Hey, Detroit PBS, let's find the other half. Let's get this done. And I think, I remember when I took this job, there's always a sense with John, Rich, this is hard work, but you're going to get it done, right? We're going to get it done. And so now the hard work begins of building out the rest of the funding for the project. But we walk in meeting the Herb standard with the endorsement of this incredible family. So hard work, relentlessly, and we're going to get it done. And the excitement around the Paquette operation and what we're going to build on this campus just grows and grows. And so now to walk in and say, we've been through, we've been tested, and we are certified, and now I need your help. So thrilled to be here.
John, tell us a little bit about the history between the Herb Foundation and Detroit PBS. How did this partnership come about?
It really goes back to the late 60s, early 70s when Detroit Public Television then started their community board. My father was on the first community board and served for around a decade. And while my dad was serving on that board, he and another board member were instrumental in encouraged to move into the facility in Detroit that was a prior station. And then I served, and then my mother served with the auction, got volunteers together. Herb Lumber, we always donated products for the auction and had a long involvement there, always donating in many different ways, shapes, and form, both money, product, and time. And then I served actually on the board when the station was then moving out to Novi. And my parents at that time helped with a challenge grant to end that campaign to move into that building, the Riley Broadcast Center. And so at Detroit PBS, I'll get that straight sometime.
Yep, get it.
It's really always been a very, very important institution to us personally, and I think to the community. And the programming that they have is just fantastic.
Melissa, tell me a little bit about the Herb Family Foundation's philanthropic priorities when you think about the state of Michigan right now.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's just so great to be here today. And again, we're just so thrilled to support Detroit PBS. And we've been supporting Detroit PBS for many years through Great Lakes Now. And that reflects our stewardship grant making that we make for Great Lakes. And how do we all be good stewards of this magical place that we love with these wonderful, huge bodies of water. But our grant making is focused on stewardship. It's also focused on Detroit arts organizations. We support, 60 organizations throughout Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. We're supporting sustainable business in Southeast Michigan as well, a little bit of Alzheimer's research, and then environmental health and justice concerns that we have in Detroit and Wayne County as well.
So benefiting the state of Michigan, let's talk about Detroit PBS benefiting the state of Michigan and Southeast Michigan. Rich, how do you see this new building playing into this community?
We've been working for about 15 years in a very specific direction about our content pillars and how we engage the community. And what we've learned is it is critical to continuously engage the community, to bring folks together. We have advisory groups. We're relentlessly in front of people. How do we understand the challenge and where we need to play as an organization? And that's resulted in things like our coverage of the Mackinac Conference. And we know that the pattern we built will only be fortified by a building that says, come to our place. It's in the heart of Detroit. It's in one of the most accessible neighborhoods. It's right next to 9475, the Lodge, and Woodward. Not that I've thought about these things before. 120 parking spots. And so the idea is we wanted to be the most engaged public television station in the country, and now we have an engagement center to literally turn to community members and say, come to our place. We'll capture it. We'll share it. And so we're very excited about our finance team, our engineering team have built a spectacular plan, been very well vetted by these folks, and now we go off and make that happen. So it will be big.
John, talk to me a little bit about legacy. What kind of legacy is this project going to have?
You know, I think that the legacy of the project is really, partially is the involvement of the Erb family and my parents, but it really is the legacy of the station and what the station has provided the city of Detroit, the community of Southeast Michigan, and also its broad tentacles that it has all over with Great Lakes now. It's seen by
20 stations across the entire basin. Every station across the basin carries a monthly show, daily content around the future of the Great Lakes Basin.
I mean, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Truly.
Rich, I'm curious about the new opportunities that this building is going to benefit, right, for this community. What can this building actually do?
What this building can do is bring in an era of media disintegration. We all can go on and on about left and right and center and misinformation. This building can stand for how do we sincerely understand issues? How do we communicate solutions? How do we gather the community? How do we better understand each other? I can tell you our staff just delights in what if. We had a couple conversations up here about, oh my God, this would fit so well into the new building. Ed Moore and Jillian Gainsley are running the streets like, oh, I got another thing. So the building, built off of the approach we've taken, built off of their support, the building will be a center. But I do have to, there's one thing you have to, one thought about the Erb organization. The heart is amazing, there's no doubt. But there's the backdrop of this, people talk about Fred meeting with Ira Jaffe to build the plan for the University of Michigan, right? They're very, very strategic as well. And the team here, big heart, great philanthropic interest, but also standards and plans. And this is a really important win philanthropically, and it's makes you feel good. But we also, to meet the standard of the Erb organization, to have them say, you're worth our time, you're worth our investment, that's key to our future. It says something that every philanthropist in the state of Michigan.
Well, I want to key in on that and end with you, Melissa, and ask why now? Why is it so important right now for foundations to engage in this kind of work?
Yeah. I think, at their core, many philanthropic organizations, are working towards the vision that Fred and Barbara Erb had, and that was to make the world better in our communities right now, but for future generations as well. And so whether it's being interested in workforce development, education, environment, arts, creativity, all those issues, Detroit PBS can really be the trusted partner to help lift up the voices. They have that ability to lift up the voices of our region through our neighborhoods and our communities. And it's really exciting to see the Detroit Media Campus and how they're going to take community engagement to the next level. And the Erb Family Foundation, we're just so proud and so excited to be part of it.
John. Melissa, Rich, thank you for your time, and imagine the possibilities.
Imagine the possibilities.
Imagine the possibilities.
Congratulations.